Welcome, parents and guardians. The reason we have created this homework DVD series is because Kung Fu is ideally practiced daily, even just a little bit. Kung Fu means hard work, and it's based upon the principle of doing something a little bit each day and getting a little bit better, understanding a little more the more you do it. So, although your child will learn plenty, coming 2 to 3 times a week, if they reinforce that with even just a few minutes a night, with your supervision and with the help of this DVD, they will develop their Kung Fu much more quickly and gain much more benefit from their training at the Smiling Dragon Kung Fu Academy. And so we begin. Thank you. We will now cover all of the requirements for the 3rd degree white sash testing for children. So the first requirement on the 3rd degree white sash testing for children is going to be the 2nd Selim Tao drill. We saw Selim Tao 1 earlier. This is Selim Tao 2, also referred to as Dragon Evades Tiger. For this, I'll ask young Val to come in. It's set up exactly the same way as Selim Tao 1. Val's in a forward position. I'm in a side horse. My foot's not directly in front of his, it's slightly on the outside in a mirror image. So there's a lot of things happening simultaneously, so before he does anything, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. What's happening here is he's not going to do what I want him to do, throw the front kick, he's going to throw the back kick instead. In fighting, we say the opponent is never wrong. Whatever they do, we need to have an answer for it. So he's going to throw his back foot, not just yet. What's going to happen is our response is going to be to get out of the way, which is always a very good idea when you can get away with it. What's going to happen is, you watch my feet, I'm going to do a T-step, as we've seen earlier, out of the way, and my gansao is going to go out to deal with that leg. Next thing that's going to happen is, from this position, my front foot is going to kick him in the groin. We affectionately call this the pee-pee kick. And then I'm going to do pak dar, just like before. So there's a lot of similarities. So I'm here, he throws the back leg. I'm going to simultaneously T-step, block that leg. Now he's wide open. Bam! Pak dar. It's very simple, but it does take some time to get the coordination going. The biggest thing people struggle with at first is simultaneously stepping into a T-step and getting that hand out. The Wu Sao Shi is protecting you, but the Man Sao is basically, the Gan Sao is basically dealing with the leg. When you deal with the leg in that fashion, it makes his groin wide open. And you just take a little kick. Now this is not a traditional Wing Chun kick. Traditionally in Wing Chun we use our heel always, but in this case it's just going to be the top of our foot, just a little bam, and that should do the trick. And then get to the outside, follow the Krishoni 1 foot rule, make sure you're all the way on the outside. Your foot is 1 foot away from the other foot, outside, so he can't reach you with his other hand. If you're outside, he can't reach you, pak dar, and that's the whole drill. So, once again, and they have to do all these things. Everything we do is done on both sides. Because we don't know which way someone's going to attack us. We have to have an answer for every problem. So I'm in a side horse. He goes to kick. I T-step. I do that. I kick. Pak dar. And then you have Dragon Evades Tiger or Selim Tao 2. The next thing your child will be expected to demonstrate for their test is going to be sparring. This will be their first introduction to sparring, and they will have to have proper gear for that. We have, after a great deal of research, found the very best gear we can for the safety of your child, so please see me about that if you have not already. The way we do sparring is controlled. We don't send kids out there just to try to beat each other up. There's no point in that. Someone could get hurt, and they're not really learning. What we do is we take 1 or 2 techniques at a time, so they can focus on dealing with that technique, developing the muscle memory so they can effectively do something about it, and then we add from there so they get a nice repertoire and language of responses to different things. At this level, all they're going to be doing is kicking or blocking a front kick, depending on which side of the equation they're on, and pak dar. That's all they're required to do at this level, but it's enough for starters. So for this, Val will come in. They'll do this in full gear, so they're safe. Basically, they'll be fighting. We'll pop with the fight. Val, mutual respect at all times. So at this point, Val will be the child who's kicking, basically with the front kick, and all your child's really required to do, and it's just like Sil Tao 1, is make sure not to use their hands. And what happens is, if they do use their hands, which happens, because they react, they're going to get hit by other kid. Fortunately, they're wearing very good gear, but that's how we learn. Sometimes we make a mistake. In Kung Fu, we teach, in fighting, you're either winning or you're learning. That's why we teach never to use excessive force, always use the right gear, and always make sure everyone's safe at all times. But the main thing is they're going to learn not to put their hands down. They're going to learn to keep their hands up and block that leg with their leg. So the one thing is, that child is the one who's kicking, and I'm the one who's required just to keep my hands up. Just to keep my hands up and block that leg. And so they're learning to keep their hands up and block that leg, which is some really, really important basic stuff. Next thing is, he's kicking, I block with my leg, and there's the arm. Pakdar. We already learned that, but now we're bringing it to a practical application of actually dealing with someone else. So we're sparring, block, Pakdar. That's all they're required to know for their sparring at this level. And in this way, by keeping it simple and incremental, they can bring this into their muscle memory and make it real to them and make it something practical they can use. Because what is the point of learning a martial art if you can't actually use it? For us, there is no point. And so we make it practical and realistic at all times, while at the same time making sure everyone is safe and having a very positive experience. The next requirement for third degree white sash testing for children is going to be standing on one foot and kicking slowly. Anyone can kick fast. When you kick slowly, a lot of wonderful things happen. First of all, your technique gets that much cleaner and better, and there is tremendous power in clean technique. Also, you learn, you gain much more control and develop muscle groups to give you much more control of your legs, much more strength, much more power, and you learn balance. Because what is the point of standing on one leg to throw a kick if you're going to lose your balance? That's not the way to prevail in a self-defense scenario. The way we do it here is we use our dragon palms. So they're going to start out in essentially a medium stance. The palms are down. They're not out like this. It's not tightrope stuff. They're not using their arms for balance. Actually, their fingers are up, their palms are down, shoulders are relaxed. They're pressing down. They're learning to sink, always sinking, always being rooted. Even on one leg, you should be sinking. This also incorporates the belly breathing. As I've mentioned before, when they breathe in their belly, one of the benefits is that they find their Dan Dien, their center. I teach the children, it's very important to please reiterate this. I want them to pretend as if their brain was in their belly. They're not thinking about their belly with their brain, they're thinking from their belly. In fact, there is a whole nother intelligence center, a visceral, instinctual intelligence center in the belly that they're harnessing. So they want to bring themselves to their center by breathing in their belly, by utilizing balloon breath or abdominal breathing. It helps them gain their center. So there's a lot of benefit coming from this one exercise. So we have dragon palms, fingers up, palms down, pressing down. Okay, they're going to pick up one leg. Once again, protecting the groin. You've always learned to protect. It's a guarded motion. Okay, then they're just going to kick forward with their toes back and their heel out. Hold it for a moment for balance. If they lose their balance, everyone does, get wobbly. Breathe in their belly, bring their attention back to their belly. It teaches them how to get their center. Then the foot comes up, the hands come in front, and they do the side kick. The side kick, their body does not turn like this. You're kicking straight out your side, as I've mentioned before. Shoulder faces the side, torso does not move this way. By going slowly, you can really work on the perfection of technique. They don't have to kick high, but they have to keep their foot off the ground. They're still pressing down, keep their proper position. Toes down and back, down, turning down towards the ground, and pull back, so they're kicking with your heel, and pull back up, and hands come to the side. That's it, both legs. They have to use both legs. So they get on one leg, make sure they have their balance, make sure they're feeling rooted. Their root leg should be bent a little bit. Foot's high up as possible, as a guard, as a shield. They kick forward, toes come back, so they're kicking with their heel. They come up, hands come in front, come down, and they're kicking to their side. Their torso's facing forward. Kicks come to the side, and the toes are down and back. And back up, and back down. If they do this Every night, even just 1, 2, or 3 reps, you're going to notice some very outstanding progress very quickly. And the last requirement for third-degree white sash level testing for children is going to be some very basic chain punching. Now, this is a truly advanced application, chain punching, and we make it a little simpler for the children, and they'll learn to make it more refined and more sophisticated as time goes on. But still, there's some fundamentals that they need to understand so that we do not compromise the integrity of the art, and we develop it correctly in the children. The way the children will perform this chain punching is going to be in a square stance, ichikimyama, feet at least as wide as the shoulders, pelvis tucked in. Mansao wusao. The wusao is out, not close to the body, at least a thumb and a fist, but preferably even further forward. From here, we simply make 2 fists. And the child is going to punch forward, bring one hand back. Punch forward, one hand's always going forward, one hand's always coming back. There are some finer details of this, as I said, that we'll get into at a later time for your child, but this is a good place to start for them. The hands are just running adjacent. There's actually a more advanced way of doing this, but this will work for them for their purposes. The more important thing are the specifics I'm going to point out right now. So, first of all, this hand never comes back too far. One hand's always going forward, one hand's always coming back to protect. One hand's always coming forward, one hand's always coming back to protect. It's called chain punching because you can punch, 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 and rattle off a whole bunch of punches very, very quickly. The important things they need to understand, and they need to be able to explain it to their Sigum, are as follows. The fist needs to be lined up straight with the forearm. This is critically important. The fist can't be like this or like this, because when it's like this, not only does it protect the wrist, because like this you can hurt yourself, but what happens is it allows you to support the fist with your forearm, and your forearm is supported by your entire body. So the body mechanics are, when this is straight and lined up, when they hit with the power of the entire, from the ground to their whole body. Body mechanics mean that they can hit a lot harder like this. So it's very, very important when they punch with their arm straight. They need to be able to explain that the arm has to be straight. Also, we're punching with these 3 knuckles. These 3 knuckles. Not the flat of the fist, but these 3 knuckles. Just, they won't be tested on that specific fact, but that's something that you might want to be aware of. That's how they're punching, like that. The next important thing they need to understand and explain is that the fist comes out like a spear, and it never comes round. If you're punching round like that, I call that Popeye punching. It's never going to penetrate. It might do some damage, but when it comes out straight with proper body mechanics, it's going to go right through. So it always has to go straight. If you purchase a small focus mitt, and we'll have them available for you to get if you'd like, they can hit the focus mitt. That's really the best way of doing it. They should go straight into it and never around. And the last thing that they'll be tested on, and they'll have to be aware of, is that when they strike, even though this is a fist, the back one's a fist, it's still wusao. They have to keep their elbow in with their forward hand. In other words, they're not doing this. They're not creating an opening down the center, just like in a triple palm strike. That's a good way to get hit. You have to protect the center line. So the elbow in the forward hand is in. We call it elbow positioning. It's in slightly to protect the center, and your center is also protected by your wusao fist, your wusao positioned fist. So they have to always keep their elbow in on the striking hand and keep their wusao. Don't let their wusao fall back here or fall down here, which is very common. You'll see this all the time, all sorts of things. So even though it looks pretty simple, there's a lot going on here, even at this level. So when they punch, this has to be lined up. This has to be lined up, has to come straight like a spear, and they have to keep their elbow in and maintain their wusao every time they strike. And that is the final requirement for third-degree white sash testing for children.